Greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to speak to all of you. Originally, when Susanna and I were talking, I was planning to actually participate in person at the conference. I was going to do a keynote as well as participate on a session where we were going to talk about gaming in the museum setting. But well, we know that the world has taken a turn and we are all in the midst of this pandemic. So let me begin by first, hoping that all of you are staying safe and healthy. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for keeping up the good work, because it's so important for us to stay positive, stay focused, and stay mission driven. So I do want to talk to you about an exciting project that we are working with, Games for Change. It's a project that we have funded recently. But before I do that, I thought I'll tell you a little bit about what IMLS is and what we do. So IMLS stands for the Institute of Museum and Library Services. We are the primary source of federal funding for the nation's libraries and museums. And believe it or not, there are more than 125,000 libraries and more than 30,000 museums in this nation. So we are very fortunate that Congress appropriates approximately $252 million every year that we give out in the form of grants. And then the museums and the libraries, in partnership with organizations like Games for Change and many other nonprofit partners, make wonderful things happen that really impact our communities all across the nation. So that's IMLS. That's who we, what we do, what we stand for. IMLS has three primary focus areas: to promote lifelong learning, and that doesn't mean just amongst kids. It's kids, adults, seniors, audiences of all kinds. Build capacity of museum and library professionals, as well as build capacity of the communities that they serve. And the third is increasing access to collections, access, whether it is on site or whether it is virtual, access to knowledge. So those three are sort of the primary pillars that IMLS work, sort of rests on. And when we see projects like the one that Games for Change proposed last year, where they were adapting the student, game challenge to empower and sort of train the museum professionals, obviously our reviewers as well as IMLS, found it very appealing. And congratulations to Games for Change for coming in for a federal grant for the first time and actually getting it. So these are very competitive grants, so it was. I think it was a big thing, for Games for Change to get this grant. And they started with we called it a pilot, and they started with the humble work with targeting about 8 museums across the nation, and the project was in its first year, and when the pandemic hit. So we, in conversation with Games for Change, IMLS, of course, is trying to make as much of a difference with its funding, as possible. So we have now readapted the model, which was, adapted from the student challenge for museums to readapting it, or I would say expanding it to involve many more museums in some of the hotspot cities. And I'm not going to give out all the details because the public announcement has not gone out yet. You'll be hearing about the details soon. But we are very, very pleased to, have our investment not only help empower museums, which are facing a huge, challenge, not only existential challenge, but they are really pivoting to offer as many online and virtual resources as possible. So we felt that this particular project would be like a two-pronged, will meet two-pronged goals. One is it will train many more museum staff in these cities to, take game challenge, game design, incorporate it seamlessly into their educational programming. And secondly, there is a huge need with everyone, being at home, the kids not, finding things to be engaged with, parents looking for things, is for the museums as sort of vehicles of connectivity, helping the youth in these cities, stay connected on something positive. And the topics are going to be focused on resilience, and we want them to be the problem solvers, so we are very, very excited. It's an aggressive goal. In 1 year, we want to do all of this. Games for Change is going to be doing all of this. So again, we wish you great luck, and we want to thank you for stepping up and expanding your efforts and being resilient yourself. So that's all that I had to say, and wishing everybody great luck. Stay safe, stay healthy. We are all in this together, and we will come out of this very soon.